Hey guys, welcome to Maths Recovery with Rebecca. This is part 3 of factorizing. Today we're going to be looking at trinomial factorizing. We're going to start off with the very basic one. So we're going to start off in grade 9, and then as I work through the parts, we will go to all the different grades. So some important information that you need to know before we dive into this is that a trinomial has 3 terms, and that our goal is to try and make it into the standard form ax squared plus bx plus c. But it's important for us to know that in grade 9, we need to make sure that a is 1. And if it's not 1, we need to take out a common factor so that it becomes 1. Another thing is that it needs to be placed in descending order of power, which means we've got 2, then a power of 1, then a power of 0. So maybe you didn't know the constant c, we can attach an x to the 0 because if you go back to your exponent laws, x to the power of 0 is actually 1. So that x to the power of 0, I've just placed it there so that you can see that the powers are actually in descending order, even though that is a constant. Okay, so if you've watched the first 2 videos, you would know that we've been building a checklist of factorizing. And we started off with binomials, and we looked at common factors, coefficient HCF, highest common factors, highest common variables, and then we looked at dots. Now today, we're going to be looking at trinomials and focusing on common factors, which we need to look for across all of the types of factorizing, and a method I like to call OMA. Okay. So we're going to look at order, multiplication, then addition. Those are the 3 steps. So let's look at a very basic one. So we're looking at x squared plus 5x plus 6. Now, O stands for order. We need to make sure that this is in descending order of power. Now, because this is a very basic one, you can pick up straight away. Let me just get my little laser pointer out here. That it already is in descending order of power. We've got our 2, our 1, and our x to the 0, as well as we have our a being 1. So there's no need for us to take out a common factor, but let's just take a look. So our second step is multiplication. We've got to look for multiplication pairs for c. Now if we bring back our standard form from the slide before, c is 6. Now, multiplication pairs is us looking at 6 and finding 2 numbers that multiply to get 6. So we got 1 and 6, 3 and 2. Now, A, which of those will add to get B? So B is a positive 5. Now, 1 and 6 make 7, 3 and 2 make 5. Well, if we look at that, we're going to be leading the 3 and the 2 to make the 5 because we need to find a pair of multiplication from the 6 that's going to also add to get 5 for B. And when we're going to make this factorizing answer, so we have x and x coming from that x squared up here, and then the plus 3 and the plus 2 coming from the number that was a multiplication pair of C and adds to get B. Okay, let's up it. X squared plus 5x minus 6. Now, order correct. Look for multiplication pairs for C. Now we're dealing with a minus 6, which means we got 1 and minus 6, minus 1 and 6, minus 3 and 2, 3 and a minus 2. So we've got quite a lot going on there. So as you go through and do more of this type of factorizing, you don't have to go and write down your factor pairs anymore. It becomes so much easier as you do these questions. It actually just comes to mind, these answers. Okay, so let's look at plus 5. So let's break it up for ourselves. So we'll have 1 plus minus 6, minus 1 plus 6. There it is right there. minus 1 plus 6 equals 5. And that's our answer. Put our two x's for our x squared, minus 1, and a plus 6. And that's how we build it. So we look, are we in order? Look for the multiplication pair for C, and which one of those will add to get B. Now let's up it. I'm seeing straight away that the order is not correct, because here's the square, which is supposed to be in front, and here's the x of 1, which is supposed to be in the middle, and here's our constant. So let's go and put it in the correct order. X squared plus x, or here's our x, and then we got our x to the 0. What I'm also picking up is that I'm seeing with these three terms that we have a common factor with the coefficients. So I'm looking at 2, 16, and 24. So I've got an HCF. My HCF of 2, 16, and 24 is 2. Now, if you don't understand how I got that, you can go back to video 1, part 1, and see how I figured out that that HCF was 2. I'm also seeing that if I look at the variables, x squared and x, there's no variable on the back. So we have no common variable here. So what I would just do is I would divide by 2 across all the terms, and I would get this factorized trinomial. Now, I can see that A is 1, which means I can do Omar. Let's look at the 12. I've got 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. But now what's happening, none of those numbers are going to add to get a minus 8. What's very important to know that a positive times a positive is not the only way for us to get a positive. We can also use a negative times a negative. That's going to give us a positive. So when I'm looking at this new list of multiplication pairs, I'm picking up that for us to get a minus 8, I'm going to use a minus 2 and a minus 6, because when I add those two together, I get my minus 8. And that helps me to get my answer. So leaving that 2 in front, I've got my x and my x or my x squared, and then my minus 2 and my minus 6 to go and make that minus 8. So that was a nice one. Had all the different pieces inside of it. Okay, so pause the video here. Give these a try. I'm going to press. There we go. These are the answers. Hopefully you got them all right. Please pop in the comments how many you got right. It would be nice for me to see. Just for you to pick up on this minus half right here, when I pulled it out as a common factor, you see this 2 became a 4. The reason is because when I divided 2 by half, it actually multiplied by 2 because of the reciprocal. Keep, change, flip. And that's why we're getting this 4 and this 4, which became negative 2 and negative 2 made this positive 4. And when you add them, you get the negative 4. And over here, we took out a common factor of x squared. That's that variable common factor. And if you don't understand that, you can go back to part 1. So hopefully you guys got 4 out of 4 there. Please subscribe, and our next video will be grade 10, trinomial factorizing. So this is when the A, as much as you try and find a common factor to get out, there's just none. So we're still going to use the Omar laws, but there's just going to be a little twist. See you next time. Bye.